Yeah, what is up, you guys? What is up? What is up? What is good? What is good? The King of Lightning is here today, tonight, to do Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. No, whoa, cut that. The Kingdom of Magic, episode 1 and 2 review. Okay, so I really should be in bed. I'll be honest. I should be in bed because I have a test tomorrow, and I need to do chapter reviews tomorrow. Fuck no. Okay. All right. Let me focus on this because obviously this is what you guys are here for. Duh. Let me say this. All right. Let me say this before I get started with the actual episodes themselves. The opening and the ending, beast. And when I say beast, I mean not with the actual songs themselves, but who is actually singing them. The opening is Sid, the same guys who did the opening, the first opening for the last season, and I think also the second opening as well, but I forget. Yeah, I think they did opening 2 of Magi, season 1, I believe so. But the ending is Aqua Times. Yeah. Dude, they got Aqua Times to do their ending. So I was like, I'm never seeing these two groups collaborate. Well, not really collaborate, but like I've never seen these two groups actually do openings and endings for a same series. And because those two are actually like my favorite groups who do the opening and endings for anime. Sid and Aqua Times. Aqua Times. Love Aqua Times. If you guys have ever seen what's that one show called? Star Driver? Like Tato, the Galactic Pretty Boy. I think it's called Star Driver. That opening, that Aqua Times, favorite opening. That song is amazing. It's amazing. That competes with like Fullmetal Alchemist, the last opening, and that shit's just crazy. But either way, so props to them for actually doing Sid and Aqua Times. That's my personal bias right there. But moving on. So this I'm gonna do episode 1 first. Episode 2, I'll leave it at that. And it should be relatively short because they're actually both very simple. To be honest, they're just setting up for the leave, which should be next week's episode, where they actually leave Shindoria and like they go on their journeys. And it's hint in this episode 2, it's hinted very strongly that Morgiana is going to go to the Dark Continent. Even though Masaru tells her that you might as well, he tells her that he saw no families there when he went there. He says you might as well go for yourself and check it out so you can just get some closure. So Morgiana is hinting, so it's being strongly hinted that she's going to the Dark Continent. Aladdin, it's a given. He's going to Magnostadt. That's very obvious. And then Alibaba, well, we'll see where that goes. And of course, Hakuyu, he's leaving alongside with Kyogoku. Now, episode 1 starts off. Not gonna move. It's not gonna move. It's just not. What they did is that they took the preview, the trailer, for the second season of Magi, the Kingdom of Magic, and they expanded on that. And they made that the first few minutes of their first episode. And this led to a clusterfuck of spoilers. I mean, just a massive amount of spoilers. I mean, first of all, we see, and this is already in the preview, we see Aladdin powering up. He has this wizard uniform on. And then we see him make like 3 Earth Ugos. And then sounds kind of cool. And then they all do a triple Hottie Hot Infagar. And then it's like a flame wave and a huge explosion. But in this one, what they did is that they expanded it so where you see like a bunch of people in wizard uniforms. So obviously Magnostadt, because it's the country of magic. Duh. And then we see an army in like this golden uniform getup. We see in the same getup uniforms Fanalise. I'm sitting here like, oh my god. If they've never read the manga, spoilers up the wazoo. Finally, it's because they have the same colors, Masaru and Morgiana, when it comes to hair, and the same eye, slanted eye, spiky eye, whatever look. Then we see Morgiana with Yunan. Wow. We see Sinbad en route to the same location. We see Cohen and an army behind him. We see Sherazade, and I'm sitting, I'm like, spoiler, spoiler, that's a spoiler, that's a spoiler, that's a massive spoiler. So, like, what's going on? Like, why did they believe that it was a good move to do that? Exactly. I don't know. But it was not a good move. It just wasn't. It really wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't at all. Because had I not actually, I mean, I understand the whole thing about how, you know, you want to suck people in, but to me, it's like, there was a better way of doing that. Like, you could have just showed him powering up, making 3 massive Ugos. You didn't have to actually show, like, all these characters that are going to come later on, that have this important role in this obvious battle, and then you show, like, 3 Magi, 2 of them who are relatively unknown, Yunan and Sherazade. Yunan with Morgiana, who was already hinted by episode 2 to go to the Dark Continent. Funelise, clad in gold. This was not a good move. This was definitely not a good move. They should have, like, who in the production team said, you know what? Let's have a bunch of spoilers as the first few minutes of this first episode of the season. Not a good move. No. I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. But we move on. So, obvious negative. But the episode of itself has some pretty funny scenes. Episode 1 is way funnier than episode 2. Episode 1, it's like Aladdin doing a lot of goon stuff. Like, straight up goons. He's a goon, man. When it came to the play that was being portrayed for them, about the whole Zagan thing, how Aladdin, he was portrayed as being like a buff dude, and then we see him, the real Aladdin, posing off with the actual buff guy. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that was hilarious. When it came to the whole Dooney and stuff, when she spilled the soup in her cleavage, he's like, Dooney on this, he straight up dives in there. The same thing when he pretended that there was a piece of, like, food on the inner thighs, and he's like, and he goes in there. It's funny. I can't deny that. It's funny. Sinbad comes in there. He's like, Mimo. He's like, yo, this is impressive, man. That was funny. That was hilarious. So I'll give him that. Episode 1 was a bundle of laughs. But when it came to episode 1, it got kind of sad at the end, where it was basically like, here's Dunia, and like she's dying, even though he does the Solomon's wisdom to remove the dark root from within her. It's taking a toll on her body, and she dies next episode. In the same way that Kashim did. In the manga, it took like a period of weeks, and then it was like more gruesome. And I don't think a lot was there when she actually died initially. So in the manga, it was way more gruesome, or whatever, or at least way more cryptic. But also in the episode, we see Sinbad. And Sinbad playing the role of an individual that apparently he never wanted to play. We see a picture of how he remembers when he sees Morgiana, Aladdin. I mean, when we see Alibaba, Morgiana, Aladdin. Whoa. Basically, it reminds him of the old days when he was with Jafar and he was with Dracon. They were just like, you know, when the world meant nothing to them, and like they just did crazy shit when they were kids, like, or teenagers, like, yeah, let's fight. So, and he's seen how he's become this individual who manipulates people. He manipulates Kyogoku, who I believe actually has a different voice actor in the season. He manipulates Hakuryu. He tries to manipulate Aladdin, but Aladdin's like, no, alright, I'm not gonna be your Magi. I'm not gonna represent you and go to the Rem or the Lem Empire. So And of course, this stems Aladdin to actually that alongside with seeing Magnostat's involvement with Al-Thaman via the Dark Jinn, where Sinbad touched it, and then when he went inside the inner mind, the inner realm of Dunia, and then within the crystals there was this etched out symbol of the Magnostats. Yeah, so he's a little Magnostat. That's what he says at the end of the episode. And episode 1 is pretty much ended on that. I mean, at the beginning it's a lot of funny stuff, and that's mainly it. And then them deciding what they're going to do from now on. So, at least in the case of Aladdin. So that's episode 1. Episode 1 could have been a lot better. It really could have. Especially with that opening. That opening, no. When I mean the opening, I mean like the first few minutes where they show you all the spoilers. Not a good move. Not a good move. Episode 2. Well, episode 2 starts off beast because it's like an actual combat scene between Kyogoku and Sinbad. Because Alibaba, he's practicing, he's training, because he hears that Aladdin is leaving, and it's not sitting well with him at all. Because Aladdin getting real soft. But basically, one of the main things that he says here, Aladdin, to Alibaba, well, Alibaba getting real soft. And then, backpedaling, Aladdin, what he says to Alibaba is this. 2 things as to why he's leaving. Number 1, it's because, well, 3 reasons. Number 1, their connection to Al-Thaman. Number 2, so he can learn magic and actually explore his roots with magic and see what he can do because he's a Magi. And number 3 is, and this is the key one I think, like the main key one, in my personal opinion, Sinbad. Sinbad's essence, his being, it shines too bright. And Aladdin fears that he may be sucked into his pace and forget himself. And this ties into the end of the episode, where we see Kyogoku. After she fights against Sinbad, she decides it's best for her to leave. Not because of the fact that she lost the fight, but because she realized that she had forgotten herself. She went all the way to this country to chase this guy. And there's a sense of shame in that. She forgot her position. And she reminds herself of that when she tells Alibaba of her story about how her mother was probably a prostitute in the slums, on the streets, something like that. And then, like, her story is very similar to Alibaba's own story, and how fighting against Sinbad reminded her of her position with her country and within herself. And she's going to actually try and convince Cohen and the others not to fight against Sinbad. So Sinbad is actually turning this into a benefit for himself, wherein which the person who may be the biggest threat to them, the Co-Empire Metal Vessel user that can control water to a massive degree, she's now like on their side, or she is not willing to fight against Sinbad. So right there, Sinbad being very devious, which goes back to episode 1, where she talks to Jafar and saying, "Have I turned devious?" She's like, "Yeah, you have. But this is what happens when you attain things such as country, such as people to follow you, and so on and so forth. You try your best to retain those things, and in doing so, you do things that you normally would never do. Hence, him being devious." But that being said, what we also see is an actual full-on fight between 2 Metal Vessel users in full-on Jinn equipped mode. Alibaba has a long way to go compared to those two. Yeah, absolutely. Sinbad, devastated. Kyogoku, devastated. She uses an extreme magic, makes like this tidal wave, like on some Whitebeard status shit. Straight up. And then Sinbad makes like 2 tornadoes and like blocks it. And we see them actually flying around and fighting that way. And then Sinbad actually brings out another Jinn, Zephyr. So we've seen 3 Jinn. We've seen Focalor in the anime. Focalor, Zephyr, and of course, my favorite, bring it down, it's nighttime. Bring it down. Fuck. Okay. Alright. He brings those, we've seen those 3 Jinn. Alright. And what I can say is that he has 4 more to go that we haven't seen yet. 4. And Zepar is actually pretty damn beast. I mean, he was like playing sport with Kyogoku. But when it came to Zepar, it was like one yell. And apparently, with Zepar, he could command her spirit and the spirit within earshot to fall asleep. That sounds pretty hacks. Where he can command the spirit to fall asleep. So that was cool. That was actually good. That was a plus. And then at the end of the episode, it got pretty sad. It did. Because, well, first of all, we actually get, we see Masaru fighting with Morgiana, training. And basically, it's hinted now that she's going to go to Dark Continent. Because she says, I want to go to Dark Continent. Are there finally, because like, I want to go there. Because she remembers what that one guy said, Goltos. Something like that. And then he tells her, yeah, you can go. Well, when I went there, there were no finalies in sight. So, but she's going to go there because he says you might as well go there to get some closure. Now, the thing about this, of course, is that if you take a look what you see at the beginning of the first episode, the spoilers, you can tell where things go via that. But whatever, I'll leave it at that. Seriously, because that was so dumb. But what I will say is that we have Aladdin. He is going to Magnostad. It's very obvious. We have Morgiana. She is going to the Dark Continent. And when you look at the spoilers, you can kind of guess where Alibaba goes. You really can. Like, you can just see where, like you can see. But again, if you haven't read the manga, I'll leave it up to your imagination. Now, Hakuryu is actually motivated in the sense that he's kind of gotten Simba on his side. He kind of has, because he still has this goal to destroy the Ko Empire, and it's revealed that the Ko Empire, he knows that the Ko Empire has ties to Alphaean. And this is where things are kind of sad, because at the end of the episode, Dunya dies in the same fashion as Kashin. Her body is like charred up, and then she, that kind of stuff. And then Aladdin cries, tears. Then it's the funeral. Then Yamuraya, she cries because she says, I'm sorry, I wasn't a good enough magician. I couldn't save you. Then after that, Morgiana cries after the funeral. When it's like she reveals, after Haku says how, the big thing right here, I have my siblings, my brothers, my father, they died at the hands of Alphaean. Father, I don't know, but brothers, yes. And that, of course, now we see, because if Alphaean has connections with the Ko Empire, and his siblings died, and apparently his sister, she doesn't know about this, but he knows, apparently. And that's why, apparently, he hasn't told her about this at all. And that being said, now we see why he's so motivated to actually destroy the Ko Empire. Because their ties to Alphaean killed his brothers. So, sad. The Morgiana cries, because as they're talking, he's like, you probably have family, parents, siblings out there. But you need to go out there and find them. Don't lose hope. Sad. Then it was, after that, the whole thing with Kyogoku, where she comes to the realization that she forgot her place. She forgot her stead within her country. She left her country to chase this guy because she was so infatuated with this guy. And she forgot where she stood amongst her countrymen and within the Ko Empire itself, because she is a metaverse user. So, and she was given a helping hand by Jafar and Koen, and she cries, sad. So, there's a lot of sad scenes going on here. But on the upside, at the end of the day, Alibaba and Kyogoku, they're now friends. And so now there's actually, in episode 1 and 2 more so than 1, there's actually a lot of character development and character interaction between Alibaba and Kyogoku. So that was good. And I mean, I'll leave it at that. So I said it was gonna be short. It's like 20 minutes, but whatever. So the animation overall, animation's actually pretty good. It really is. You know, the same old good old Magi animation. When it comes to the pacing, it is well structured. But again, I'm not a fan of that beginning on episode 1 at all. At all. Not a fan. Not a fan. And when it comes to character development, we do see some combat skills revealed here with Sinbad. There is character interaction between Kyogoku and Alibaba, which is good. Aladdin seems to find his own place. Alibaba actually has problems with that. He does. He has this issue with Aladdin just leaving because of the promises that they made in the past. But it's not like he's leaving entirely. He's just trying to find his own place. He's trying to find his own way. And that way is going to lead to Alibaba himself becoming king. Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to make Alibaba the king. And he says to Alibaba, why don't you go find your own path? So when we meet up together again, we are stronger as individuals. And we can move forward on the path of defeating Al-Thaman. So, and right now it's not sitting too well with Alibaba. It's just not. Because he's gone soft. Real soft. But whatever. Moving on. Actually, that's it. That's it. So overall, total episode rating, I'd probably give it good. I think episode 2 was better than episode 1. Episode 1, I'd probably give a okay plus. Episode 2, I actually give it good. So I'm done, King Lightning. Be sure, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace. Have a nice day.